Welcome, you beautiful bookish people! Today's just gonna be one of those sit-down chatty kind of videos that I'm gonna give you fantasy book recommendations based off of your mood. And I'm not talking about like whether you're happy or whether you're sad. No, I'm talking about when you're in the mood for a certain thing. So not necessarily tropes, but to feel or experience something. And you will understand as I get into it, but we are gonna waste no time with a lengthy intro and I'm gonna get right into it. The first book we have is When You're in the Mood for an Obsession, and I chose City of Gods and Monsters by Kayla Edwards. Now, if you have watched my reading wrap-ups from the last 2 months, you know that I cannot stop thinking about this world, about the characters, about the impact, about the story. Oh my God, everything about this had me obsessed. And the FMC is one of those like more gentler FMCs, but the MMC is, oh my God, like top tier book boyfriend. Nope. He is my #1 book boyfriend now. And I think that's saying so much considering how many fantasy books that I have read and how many different main characters I have read. He is just top tier. The way that he loves Loren is crazy, but let me give you like a tiny little synopsis. This book follows Loren Calla, who is a human and a student at Angelthine Academy, which is a university in the town that they live in, and she finds out that she's getting hunted by this mysterious group of people for who knows why, and Darian Castle is hired to actually hunt her, turn her in, but instead of doing that, he becomes her bodyguard, and they work together with basically his found family. Yeah, by the way, found family in this is amazing. They work together with his family to figure out who these people are, what they want with Loren, what they're trying to do, and all of the behind the scenes secrets and world stuff that they have previously not been privy to, and they are gonna go dive in deep. This is an urban fantasy, and the magic system is so unique. And I don't want to hear it when you compare this to Crescent City because yeah, sure, they're both urban fantasies, but this is nothing like the story of Crescent City. It branches off from anything you would even really be familiar with just in terms of the magic alone, which is obviously a huge part of the world. And I will warn you that it took me about like 100 pages to kind of start grasping what was going on, but to me that's actually a good thing because then I have all the information that I need and I can be sure moving forward into this 700+ page story with the other 2 books being longer that I have all the information that I need. And because this is so in-depth, it paves the way for that obsession. So if you're looking for something that's going to consume you, this right here. The next mood is when you are in the mood for swooning. You want the best romance in a fantasy setting. I'm gonna tell you to go read Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. And if you follow me on my other social platforms, you are no stranger to this book because I take every single chance that I can to tell you to go read this one. This is the definition of romantasy. I have said it before and I will continue saying it. The MMC in this is like, I don't want to say like he's pathetic for her, but he's kind of like an artsy soul, and it shows in the way that he loves her. And you will, I guess, totally understand what I'm saying until you read the book, so I guess you're gonna have to go find out. This book is about Elara, and in Elara's world, they are ruled by stars, their version of deities, and Elara is cursed by fate to fall in love with a star, but it's gonna kill them both. And after this star descends to her kingdom and decides to go ham with destroying it, she runs away, but another rival kingdom takes the opportunity to capture her and say, hey, we need your help to defeat this star, and guess what? That's the same star that you're fated to fall in love with that's gonna kill you, but hey, let's take the opportunity to like work on your magic and like work on your fighting skills with my son, and you guys can go defeat him, you know, because that's a lovely time. But Enzo is his king's son of the other kingdom, and he is in charge of training her magic, and in the process, obviously, they fall in love, because why wouldn't you when the MMC is Enzo? And I don't want to say it's kind of like a forbidden romance since fate has said that Elara is going to fall in love with this other star, so I guess you could kind of say it's forbidden and they're taking a chance anyways. But let me just, on the back of this is my Fairy Loot edition, by the way, it says, I would burn the world to darkness for you. I think I've said enough. The next book is going to be when you're in the mood for something cozy, an atmospheric world, but something that still has a great story attached to it. It's not just like a cozy sitting in a cottage in the woods sipping tea kind of thing. It's a cozy, okay, wait, this girl's on a mission kind of thing. You need to read House of Blight by Maxim M. Martineau. This one is a little bit out of my comfort zone, and I tell people that if you liked One Dark Window, you're gonna love this. It has the same vibe and same kind of world-ish. Actually, the magic system is completely different, but like the vibes are the same. And this story is about a girl named Adira who is a threadmender in her world, which is basically a magical type of healer. But when she heals people, it costs her a little bit of her own life, and it's a very coveted thing to have in her society. So she keeps it a secret all of her life because it's dangerous and a lot of people would exploit her. But unfortunately, there is something called blight that ravages the kingdom. It is a intense sort of sickness that claims lives super quickly, and her brothers come down with blight. But here is the problem. Nobody has been able to cure blight. So one day when she has found out that she is a threadmender by someone called an Ever, his name's Oren Fernglove, he's an Ever, which is an immortal being with a special type of magic that you'll find out in the book. He offers Adira a position at his manor and says, hey, if you come work for me to try to find a cure for blight, you can use it to cure your brothers, and I will keep them in a magical sort of limbo for the time being. He can't cure it himself, but he can kind of keep them safe and keep blight from progressing in them. So she's like, well, okay, Evers are kind of horrible creatures. I've heard nothing but horrible things about them, but these are my brothers, and if you're giving me a chance to cure this, then I'm gonna try. And she goes for it. But when she gets there, she's like, oh my God, what the heck is happening with this family of Evers? It's crazy. But for the most part, it is basically, it's not academia because she's not like in a school or anything, but it's a lot of studying and like experiments and trial and error, but she's connecting with the characters in the world. It is so lovely. It's definitely a good time, and it is part of the Threadmender Chronicles, so there are going to be more. I'm not sure if it's going to be duology, trilogy, more than that. I can't imagine it's going to be so much more than that because the reach of the story, I can't imagine it's going to be like super big. But I gave this 3.75 stars. I think it was a good time. It's honestly like a little bit of a palate cleanser, not completely. It wasn't like completely like shut my brain off kind of palate cleanser and reading just to read, because it was actually like, oh, I want to pay attention to the story. But I think it's just like a good gateway into fantasy. Now this next book is literally like part of one of my all-time favorite series, and it's gonna be when you're in the mood for a strong FMC with purpose. If that seems something you're in the mood for, then you need to read Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent. Now this is the out-of-print cover. Carissa Broadbent is getting these trad published this fall, so I will include a picture of the actual new cover on the screen so you know what to look for when it does come out. But this book, it gave me like major Throne of Glass vibes in the best way, not like in a copycat way. It was like, it sort of felt like the mission of Aelin and the mission of Tisana were like super similar, and I loved that. This book is about Tisana Vidazek, who is a slave in a land called Threll, and she is working to buy her freedom from her master so she can go to some place called the Orders, which is basically like a magical training society government thing, and train her powers, then come back to Threll and free the other slaves. But instead of actually being able to come back to Threll, she is caught up in their war and is trained by someone who actually hates the Orders so much, but he was kind of like the only option to train her. So this is her kind of navigating their world, trying to figure out the war that they're experiencing, but also there's another added element of the best way that I can explain it is one of the characters becomes a host for a magical being that doesn't have like a physical body, and it's so intriguing. This character is like incredibly complex, and you get more of like an explanation of who they were in like the books to come, which I won't spoil a lot, but the sheer magnitude and impact of this story and the determination of Tisana is just absolutely crazy. Also, this trilogy wraps up so nicely. You know where the characters are, you know what they're doing, you know how everything impacted them. It's a very good ending to a story. So if you need something with closure but also like emotional impact, definitely read this. But Tisana is one of my most favorite FMCs. Just her heart, but also like she's badass. This next book is one of my favorite fantasies I think I've ever read. And I say one of my favorites, not my absolute favorite, but this was 5 stars. This book is when you are in the mood for lore. You need the backstory. You need all of the inner workings of this world. You need to understand the magic in like such a deep level, but also in relation to the characters and how they relate to the magic in this world. Read When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Let me tell you, I know this one is kind of a hit or miss for a lot of people because a lot of people say it's slow or it's not that interesting, but I'm like, no, this is lore. This story is about Rave, and she's an assassin for the kingdom she lives in, and her job is to take down targets, not get caught. But plot twist, she gets caught. And when she's in prison about to be executed, a king from another territory finds out that she is there and decides, actually, you're coming home with me.
You're coming home with me.
And together, they have to unravel the secrets of their world because for Rave, she doesn't realize exactly what's going on. She doesn't realize the impact that she could have on this world because of things that have happened in the past, and she doesn't completely understand how the world works. And you find out a bunch of things along with her, which that's a really special kind, I don't know if you can call that a trope, but that's like kind of a really special story to me because it makes it a little bit easier to follow, because if the FMC is kind of clueless and you're kind of clueless, you can like learn things together. But this is definitely one that you're gonna have to like focus and try to soak in the world, and it's very, very unique. Yes, there's dragons and there's different kinds of dragons, but they also have a sort of elemental magic system in the mix of all of it. Oh my god, it is so good. I think if you're ready to jump into like pure fantasy, this is it. The next one, I know you're gonna love this. This is when you are in the mood for a powerful shadow daddy fae. You need to read Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is the book that got me into tabbing and annotating. Let me tell you, I was tabbing stuff like every other page. Now this cover is actually going out of print as well, so I'll include the new cover. But the second book comes out this fall and I'm so excited to continue, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This story is about Saris Fane, and Saris is living in this sort of like almost dystopian fantasy vibe kind of world where she is like starving to survive. To give you an idea, I think they are allowed to drink like 8 ounces of water a day. Like if you actually go to your fridge and pour you a glass of 8 ounces of water and look at how much anyways. So she decides that she is going to steal the gauntlet of one of the guards in her city, but unfortunately that gets her caught and taken to the palace. And when she's there, she accidentally awakens the Quicksilver, a portal to another world, and she is brought from her world into a fae world. And now, she thought fae were extinct. She thought fae didn't exist anymore. They once did, but they're all gone now. Psych. She's transported by Mr. Kingfisher, who is the said Shadow Daddy. Yes, he is on the cover. And he takes her to his land and says, hey, so you can awaken the Quicksilver. We need to use a Quicksilver because we're in the middle of this war over here. And that would be a really helpful power to have. So you're gonna stay here. Because guess what? You're an alchemist, and that's why you can open the Quicksilver, and you're gonna train your magic and you're gonna figure out how to do it again. And this story also expands into complicated war and battles and a very intriguing fae society, and it takes a lot of familiar elements of a fantasy book but puts a twist on it in their world to make it a completely new story. And let me tell you, Kingfisher, I was among those that I was like, ugh, I don't like that name. I'm not gonna like the dude. Okay, the way that I switched up so quick. Yes, he has shadow powers. Yes, he's a warrior. Yes, he's a fae. And he has a tortured past. I mean, all the boxes are just getting checked off. Also, the cliffhanger on this one is kind of gnarly. So if you're not into cliffhangers and you're not into waiting for the next book, maybe like go to the store and buy it, put it on your shelf so you don't forget about it, and then wait for the next book, Brimstone, that comes out this fall. This next book is if you are in the mood for a crying session, bestie, you need to go reread Throne of Glass. I know you probably know about the series. If you don't, hello, this is the best fantasy series of all time, my forever favorite. I just wanted to show off my edition here that I got from Nerdy Ink. This is absolutely gorgeous. On the back it says, I give you this name to use when other names grow too heavy, and if you know, you know. I'm gonna give you a synopsis of this book just for kicks and giggles. This is about an assassin who has to compete in this tournament to be the king's champion, and basically at the end, you would get a 4-year contract with the king as his personal assassin, right? And you get taken care of, whatever, you're set for life basically. And she goes through these trials, but also finds out that there's hidden secrets within the castle, in the society, in the world, and she finds out some really intense things. Oh my god, I don't even know if I can continue talking about that. That's literally not even like 2% of this entire story. There's 8 books. The last book is like 980 pages. So be ready. If you have not read this, please be ready. This is one that you have to commit to and you have to keep going. I know the first and second books might be not like
Brooke, like, it's not the best fantasy series ever.
No. Pay attention to these details because everything comes full circle and it is the most beautiful story just ever. I think about these characters daily, and yes, if I need a good cry, I just go on TikTok and look at the edits of all of these scenes. I look at quotes. It's fine. It's a good time. There's probably not a day that goes by that I don't tear up or cry about Throne of Glass. I do think about it. I haven't today though. Maybe that's a win. But anyways, enough of that. That is all that I have for you today. I just love talking about my favorite books, and these are some of the best of the best. I will mention the book that I literally just finished like 30 minutes ago called The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. It was phenomenal. Gave me sort of When the Moon Hatched vibes, so if you're kind of into that, I think you're gonna love The Wind Weaver, and it sort of reminds me of like Avatar: The Last Airbender and ACOTAR and When the Moon Hatched. Like, stir it up in a little cocktail and that's what you get. It's amazing. But other than that, have fun with those recommendations. I'm so glad I get to talk to you about this. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it all the way to the end of this video, first of all, thank you so much. Second of all, comment the swords emoji. That just gives the best fantasy vibe. Like, I see a sword and I'm like, fantasy. Anyways, I will see you next time.